I think cost per click is the dumbest metric ever, especially for solo practitioners and solo entrepreneurs. In this video, I'm talking about better marketing tracking numbers for your business. Tom Jacobs here. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. I'm really excited and happy to share with you some content of my practical experience building up several businesses over the last 30 years. If you're new here, this channel is all about presentation, performance, and profits. So if you're interested in learning more about that, go ahead and hit that little subscribe button right over there. That way you get notified every time new content is delivered. And I am delivering content every Tuesday and Friday at 12 noon Eastern. So you're sure to pick up some more tips and tricks. I also put together a little playlist that's down below that you can check out if you're brand new here as well. So it has some really good videos in terms of how to get oriented to the whole idea of presentation, performance, and profits. Let's dive into the topic at hand, why I think cost per click, cost per acquisition, cost per blah, blah, blah is not a very good metric when you're a solo practitioner, solopreneur, and looking to grow your influence and grow your business. So here's why. The cost per click is just a number that tells you how much you spend to get somebody to click on something, or cost per acquisition is how much it costs you to acquire a client. From the business owner point of view, I prefer to look at the revenue for every activity that happens. Now, the problem here is that not a lot of business owners are tracking all the conversions necessary to be able to track that number. I'm going to go over what numbers you need to be tracking, how to track those conversions, and how to do the math to figure out what your revenue is at each one of these activity points, because that's really an important piece to understand. Now, the idea here came up when I was talking to a colleague who was complaining to me about all of these free discovery calls that he was having to make. Even when I suggested, well, why don't you just charge $47 for the discovery call? He's like, oh, my time is worth much more than $47. And I started thinking, I was like, well, of course your time is worth it. And it's even for free to get on a call with somebody for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it happens to be, to figure out if they're a good fit, and then to sell them your program. And by the way, his program sells for about $5,000. I'm like, even if you have a 50% close rate, every conversation that you have leads closer to a sale, which means that and we'll go through the math exactly, but each one of those activities that you do has a revenue associated with it. And when you sell a program that's $5,000, $2,000, whatever it happens to be, and you know your conversions of the activities that happen towards that sale, then you're gonna know what the value of that time is. And if you spend 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it is on that discovery call, if it moves you closer to the sale, there is a value to that. And we're gonna go through some of those numbers. So if you're triggered by doing math, this is probably a good time to jump off the video, because we're gonna do a little math. Trust me when I tell you though, this is really, really important to understand and know as you're doing your marketing, so that you don't get frustrated when you are spending time not doing good activity. This is also a good activity to understand how much you should be spending, or how much you can afford to spend on marketing, or to have somebody else do the activities that you, quite frankly, don't want to do. And this is why I totally believe that the cost per click, cost per acquisition is completely the wrong number to look at when you're the business owner and the solopreneur. Because as the business owner, you need to be understanding what the total value is of those activities, so you can make that determination if it's of value for you to do it, or if you should outsource it. So quick question, are you tracking your conversions from wherever that lead is coming from all the way over to the sale and every step in between? The funnel that I'm going to be taking through today, just for illustration purposes, is going from a Facebook ad to a webinar to discovery call to a coaching call, paid coaching call, and then on to the sale of the major program. This is a really effective funnel for those that have a more expensive and a more robust program. So we are going to do some math today. Sorry, well, not sorry. We're gonna do this demonstration right on the iPad. That way you can see exactly the numbers and how it all works out, because it is quite incredible when you look at it. So I got my iPad, got my pencil, I'm ready to do some math. Are you ready with me? Let's do this. Knowing your numbers is absolutely key to doing this. So if you're not tracking, then we need to have another conversation about how to track these numbers. So let's start backwards. What's the cost of your program? Now, in this example, I'm going to use this $5,000 program as an example, and it just kind of makes it easy. And then we're going to work backwards to see how this all works out. So starting backwards, cost of the program is $5,000, and that's the program that you ultimately want to sell. Now, you could run an ad directly to a landing page and try to sell that program for $5,000. However, that's probably not going to be very effective because people don't have that know, like, and trust factor yet and able to plop down $5,000 and write off of an ad to a landing page. Like I said before, we're going from Facebook ad to a webinar to a discovery call, or a way to weed out the tire kickers, and then onto a coaching call, a paid coaching call for $100, and then on that paid coaching call is where you pitch the full $5,000 program. The numbers that I'm going to be using are just good for math and not necessarily what the numbers you should be looking for in terms of conversions. Let's say that 50% of the people you speak to on that paid coaching call actually take you up on your offer. Like I said, 50% is just easy math. You should be converting about 80 to 90% of those people, by the way. So if your program is $5,000 and when you talk to two people, 50% of those, one person buys, that means that for each person that you talk to, it's $2,500 plus $100 for what they paid to talk to you, that $100 coaching call. So each of those coaching calls that you do is actually worth $2,600. You see how that works? And now let's say that you do a quick discovery call to do a pre-qualification to see if they're a good candidate for your full program. Now, a lot of the people that I work with personally are doing 15-minute discovery calls, and actually my staff does those 15-minute discovery calls and taking that $100 payment for the full coaching program. And let's just say that 50% of the people that you speak to on your discovery calls actually take you up on that coaching call. So now, since each coaching call is worth $2,600, when you cut that in half, so 50% of those people, every discovery call is now worth $1,300. Awesome. Now, you see that you're getting paid $1,300 just to do a discovery call. 2 discovery calls, you're going to get one person to go forward, and you do 2 of those, and then another person goes forward onto the full program. Easy math. Now, how do you get discovery calls? You're going to be doing webinars to attract people to do those discovery calls. And let's say that you get 50% of the people that attend the webinar to actually go through and book the discovery call. Now that's a bit high. I'm doing this for math's sake to make it easy. Generally, it's around 20% as a good benchmark for converting people on a live webinar to actually going to that next step, which would be the discovery call. At 50%, that means that each of those webinar attendees is worth $650. So getting one person on the webinar, that webinar now is worth $650. Of course, you're not going to get just one person on the webinar, but let's say you get 100 people on the webinar. Now that webinar is going to be worth $65,000. $650 for every person on the webinar times 100 people, $65,000. Now, would you spend $100 to get one person on that webinar? If you don't answer with a resounding hell yes, then there's something that you need to be really looking at, right? And most of the clients that I work with are spending maybe $10, $15 per attendee on the webinar. Maybe they're spending like $1,000 on Facebook ads to get 100 people on a webinar. And it's like, $10. That's not a whole bunch. I mean, you could up that knowing what your conversions are and knowing that for every attendee on the webinar, it's worth $650 to you, or whatever your conversions happen to be. So take this math and do it, because it's really important to understand what the value is of all these marketing tactics that you're doing to ultimately get more customers. Now, if you don't have time to do the discovery calls, those 15-minute discovery calls, or if you don't think that it's a good image for you to actually do the discovery call and then do the coaching call, then outsource it. You would easily pay somebody $50 to do the sales call, knowing that the discovery call itself is worth $1,300, right? Actually, I've put together a video on 3 tips on outsourcing. I'll just put that link right here for that video, and you can check that out at your leisure and see how to outsource a lot of these activities. Shameless plug here, but Business Lead Maximizer, that's kind of what we do for solo practitioners and solo entrepreneurs. Now, if you want to make sure that you are converting people that are connecting with you on whatever marketing that you're doing, then you need a full follow-up, follow-through process. And I put together a full PDF on how to put this together. Just click on the link below. I'll send you that PDF. It's all about how to get more appointments on your calendar on Monday morning. Here are my final thoughts. Cost per click, cost per acquisition, all fine numbers for marketers to know, but for the solo entrepreneur, the solo practitioner, you really need to be looking at what the value is of each of those activities that lead up to the sale. And in order to know that, you need to know these conversions. And if you need to go through this video again, go through it again, or have one of your staff members go through it so that you can start to track all of these metrics so you too can understand how much each one of these activities is actually worth to you. Because it's not worth the $0 that you're actually charging, or the $47 or the $100 that you're actually charging for it. It's worth a whole lot more if you're converting that ultimately to a sale. Well, I hope this has shifted your perspective a little bit in terms of what the true value is of all these activities. And that ultimately, if you decide to outsource some of that, it really is worth $50 to have somebody do one of these activities that could be generating $1,300 for you every time that activity is created. And if, like I said, if you don't have time to do it, then definitely you want to look at outsourcing that. If you found this helpful, even with all the math involved in it, then please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Share it with some friends and colleagues, and make some comments down below. And if you have not already, hit that subscribe button there so that you get notified every time new content is delivered. And this channel is all about presentation, performance, and profits for your business. Now, I did put together a couple other videos that I'd like you to check out right here and here, all in an effort to make your business a whole lot better. So until next time, you have a great day. Got my iPad, got my pencil ready to draw.